We are fortunate to have our next guest on two topics in the news this morning. The expected start of trading on spot Ether ETFs and the 2024 race for the White House. He had called on President Biden to drop out. He got what he wants. We'll see what he likes now. Joining us exclusively is Galaxy CEO Mike Novogratz. Mike, it's great to see you this morning. Let's talk Ether first, and then we'll get into the election here. But how much of a game changer is this today? We were talking to Pomp a little bit earlier. He said he thought there was actually going to be less enthusiasm for these ETFs than there were for Bitcoin.
Sure. Listen, I think this is, one more step in the total adoption of crypto as an asset class for institutions, right? These ETFs make it easier for everyday Americans and institutions to participate in these ecosystems. And it'll lack some of the excitement because Bitcoin was the first time we did it, right? And it was Larry Fink deciding crypto was important. There was a whole narrative there. This is step two. I do think it's important. We think it'll be about 20% as 20% as many flows will go into the Ether ETF in the first 6 months that went into Bitcoin. Remember, the Bitcoin ETFs are now over $60-70 billion. Right. And so significant money. And so it's definitely a positive. It's just not going to be the chaos that we saw around the Bitcoin ETF.
In terms of just what you think this looks like, though, over the next 2 or 3 years as a result of the ETF, I mean, obviously, there was a big move in Bitcoin. Do you see the same kind of big move over time?
I do. Listen, I think crypto as an asset class has become a real thing. Right. We're not going back. The big story this week is Bitcoin Nashville, right? The big Bitcoin conference in Nashville, where President Trump, 5 or 6 senators, congressmen, you name it, are showing up there. There is a rumor that Cynthia Lummis is going to announce a bill she's going to propose, that President Trump is going to make a big announcement around either a strategic reserve of Bitcoin or something to that degree. I mean, think about that. This is national politics now, where the Republican Party, at least, is saying, hey, there are a ton of single issue voters and I want them. And so the crypto community has become a voice, and that's not going back. I personally think, and I would love, the presumptive nominee, Kamala Harris, to show up at Bitcoin Nashville, too, because I don't want crypto to be Republican good, Democrat bad. And I don't think that's going to be the case with Biden stepping down. I think the Gary Gensler, Elizabeth Warren faction, or at least I think and hope, will have a lot less to say around crypto legislation, and a lot more of the rational Democrats who look at this as a technology that America needs are going to show up. But make no bones about it, Trump is seizing, Bitcoin and wants those voters. And so stay tuned on Friday, because if they announce something like a strategic reserve where they buy 1 million Bitcoin.
I mean, Mike, does that make any sense to you, though, a strategic reserve? That seems like you think that's a good idea? And do you like the idea that it feels like this whole thing is politics are being played?
I have been consistent every time I've been on any TV program or in any front of audience. I really think this needs to be bipartisan for us to really be vibrant in the long run. Right. And so, listen. Personally, do I like the idea of someone buying 1 million Bitcoin? We own a lot of Bitcoin. The price is going to go up. I would rather have left and right get together and realize this is an important technology for America. And we want to lead in it. And we want to encourage companies like mine and so many others to build here and feel comfortable building here.
Let's talk about the vice presidential candidate. Or I should say the vice president, who's now the presidential candidate. You had wanted President Biden to step down. Is this the outcome you wanted?
Listen, I have for 18 months saying end the gerontocracy, right? That we needed to have younger people in leadership positions, more in touch with what's happening in the world, more in touch with the young and inherit this planet. And so I think, Biden stepping down was essential, and I think it was a great thing. And I tip my hat to him for doing it. I would have rather had a fair process where America, the 4,000 delegates got to hear, lots of people's pitches. The realpolitik of it was setting up a campaign with 3,000 employees in 107 days seemed too daunting for most people. And so we now have the presumptive nominee, Kamala Harris. I don't want to prejudge her. To be fair, I haven't seen her in 3.5 years, right? I mean, she has really been in the shadows here in this last administration. And so, listen, if we get the Kamala Harris, who was one of the most progressive members of the Senate, I don't think it's a great thing, right? Take the temperature of the country at this point, right? The country wants decency. It wants to move more towards the center. And so, again, I don't want to prejudge her. Let's see what she says in the next 30, 60, 90 days. I do think it's going to make the race a lot tougher for Donald Trump. We're going to go to bed on election night the same way we were going to before, Biden's terrible debate and the assassination attempt, where it was going to be, flip a coin and pray for your guy.
Mike, I want to ask you about this back and forth you had with Bill Ackman on Twitter, where he effectively said that if she wasn't the nominee, it would be an acknowledgement that she was never qualified to be vice president. Therefore, she'll be the nominee. And you said, I'm not sure I agree. Presidential candidate pick VPs to increase their chances of winning. That's the truth. The Democratic Party should pick the ticket that they think has the best chance, period. Do you think they have?
Listen, I think that ship has come and gone, right? I would have rather, like I said, had a process. Listen, I think two swing state governors with a centrist track record would have more represented where America is today. I fundamentally believe that. That doesn't mean Kamala Harris isn't going to have a good chance of winning. I mean, she has raised $110 million in 36 hours. I haven't seen a candidate do that. The Democratic Party is energized. People are energized. Women, the black community is energized. And so we'll see. For me, what's important is what she says in the next 100 days, right? She had one of the most liberal voting records in the Senate. 99 out of 100. That's not where America is today. So she's going to have to pivot, right? There's a big difference between being a president and a senator. And so if she shows up as presidential, reads the temperature of the country, and moves to the center, I think the Democrats are going to have a really good election.